Chris will be with us back in a few minutes. He's got to find a new headset real fast. I want to introduce the guest. Our guest tonight is Walter Bosley. He is a world-traveling author and explorer of extraordinary phenomena. He has served as a counterintelligence specialist during the final years of the Cold War for the FBI and served as a special agent with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations running counterespionage operations.
Hello.
Hello, Walter. How are you?
Hey. Good. How you doing tonight?
Good. Excellent. Good. Okay.
We're fine.
I'm going to go turn my the link off on my computer.
Okay.
Because I can hear you. I don't need to hear it also in the background. So I'll be right back.
All right. So I'll finish up his introduction. For the past 7 years, Walter has been a personal security and anti-terrorism consultant for corporate and private clients around the world. In addition, he founded the Lost Continent Library Publishing Company, a small press that specializes in classic adventure fiction, including his own works under the pseudonym E.A.Guest. All right, and I did a little Googling. I saw you wrote a really cool book that had to do with the Zodiac killers, and that was...
The first Empire of the Wheel book.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a chapter in that book. It's not so much about the Zodiac Killer as the Zodiac Killer has a connection to what the book is about. So that's why there is a chapter included on that.
I mean, it got really good reviews. I mean, I was impressed.
Oh, hey, well, thanks. When people actually take a look at the books and read them, they often come back to me and say, wow, I was really surprised at what all was in there. I guess they didn't expect it. And I'm usually very pleased with the reaction I get from readers. Most people who've read them. I don't have a world full of readers out there yet, but it's kind of building. But yeah, it's the stuff in those books. That Empire of the Wheel trilogy is kind of I wouldn't say addicting, but it's definitely a one thing leads to another type of scenario.
All right. So the occult. I mean, they seem to have their own little. I want to say kind of mafia, like criminal underground. Mm-hmm. So What's going on as of lately? They seem to either be giving up or just not caring anymore.
In what sense? You mean that it seems like things aren't happening in that world, or?
It seems like I was just talking about a little bit ago how they had that that comedy special, that Whitest Kids You Know comedy special on Comedy Central, and they were just ripping on the Illuminati during the whole show and exposing so many they were exposing the 9/11 truth. How Kennedy was shot by the CIA.
Yeah, here's the thing. The real guys who are the bad guys, they don't worry about that stuff, because what that does is to serve to convince the mass of people, the big majority out there of people in the world, that this stuff's all goofy and that only crazy people pay attention to it. So they allow the comedians and the movies and the TV shows and all of that to just, make fun of it all day long. It falls under the category of, the greatest thing the devil did was convince people he doesn't exist. Well, That's part of that that's a tactic in convincing the world that they don't exist, or at least enough people, a critical mass, that they don't exist, that, there's nothing to see here. And then that way, they just go on getting away with what they get away with.
It's kind of like reverse psychology then.
Do you think maybe you think maybe they're trying to get people to accept their existence?
Oh, I think some folk could argue that, but I don't know. I'm more in the camp that they feel like they could get a lot more accomplished by staying, in the shadows So, maybe every once in a while they emerge to test the waters, but for the most part, I think they would prefer to be that guy in the background pulling the strings.
I look at them like a psychopath. How they like to taunt their prey and terrorize their prey.
Well, yeah, and there's a bit of that, but there's also a practical aspect in that, when you're not being looked at, when you don't have the spotlight on you, it's easier to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Much easier.
So, do you think there's any chance that they could really just be doing the work of good, even though they think they're doing the work of bad? Like, there could be something good that comes out from all of it? Or, better question would be, is it possible that they'll lose, that we will actually, that humanity will win this and succeed in every way?
Well, if you operate under the notion that the only hidden group are the bad guys, then, of course it doesn't look good for us. But I have been convinced that, if there's a secret group of bad guys, there must be a secret group of good guys, because I'll tell you, I think this world would be a heck of a lot worse if it truly were totally controlled and in the hands of the bad guys. Because guess what? They wouldn't need to hide, would they?
Right.
They could just be out in the open, and, they could get away with more out in the open, and they wouldn't have to worry about any kind of resistance. If they were truly, if the bad guys, so to speak, were truly running the world like a lot of cynical people think. So I'm of the mind that there's at least two sides to this, two groups, I should say. There's sides to it, and it all depends then on who you're talking about. There's the ones in the background that, they are working for good, and then there's the ones who aren't.
Okay, fair enough. No, I hope that's true too. I kind of believe it as well, and there's a lot of good people out there. So any thoughts on this CERN thing? I mean, we were talking about that earlier.
CERN. I've had some interesting discussions with some other associates of mine, and recently on that. And there's some aspects of our discussion that I'm not prepared to go into publicly, but I will say that I think something has been discovered that is not being, disseminated publicly, and it scares somebody. I doubt, I can't say I know for sure, and, I'm not a physicist or anything, I'm not a scientist working with these things, but when I hear stories that, the magnets aren't working or a battery's dead or something like that, we're going to be delayed or postponed, I tend to have my suspicions about that. I tend to think that something has been stumbled upon that very possibly scares the hell out of the people using the device, and they just need to shut it down and stop and think about how they're going to respond to this or react to it or even report it if they're going to report it. Or actually maybe it's business as usual. Maybe the thing actually is continuing to operate, but they don't want anyone to know it. Right. So, on the one hand, when they're going to postpone jamming it up again, I got to wonder if the reason they're telling us is the truth. And then there's also what exactly are they, opening up? What are they discovering and using, such a device? I just think there's something going on there that we don't know about.
There always is.
So you have an interesting background in the intelligence community, apparently. I'd love to hear more about that.
Oh, well, it's pretty much the basics. I worked for the FBI for a few years, and I was essentially, this is not an official FBI title, but it's the way I describe what I did, because I actually had, multiple jobs when I was working for them, but I was essentially a specialist to one degree or another in the counterintelligence, what used to be called the Foreign Counterintelligence or FCI division, and in the 90s it was changed to the NSD or the National Security Division. And I spent all but probably my first 6 or 7 months with the Bureau in Foreign Counterintelligence Division. I had been in a I got to kind of be delicate about this.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I had a specialist position where I was actually working in the field on the street, and then for a while I was a Russian, technically my job was I was a monitor. I was a language specialist. I was trained in Russian, and essentially I did what we call sitting on a wiretap, just listening to, KGB or GRU agents working in the States, listening to wiretaps on their stuff. And basically we're trying to catch spies.
Well, that's cool.
And then I went into the Air Force, earned my commission, and went immediately into the Office of Special Investigations and became a special agent. Did that for a few years, was assigned to Los Angeles, and then I went to Wright-Patterson. I was chief of a counterespionage branch, operations branch. And in that time, I was deployed to Saudi Arabia for 6 months. After that, I went into counterterrorism kind of as a consultant to corporate clients. I worked for a group that we do vulnerability assessments, threat assessments, that kind of thing, on, if there were Americans employed overseas, we'd go to where they're employed, and we'd do the assessments on their office space, their residential space, and even their routes to and from, home and work while they're over in a potentially hostile environment. And I got to see a lot of the world doing that, some of the not so great places, but some really awesome places as well. So that that sucked up about 18 years, and then I did about a year and a half of background investigations.
Okay. So is what they say about Saudi Arabia and Israel being a puppet of the U.S., is that true?
Who the hell knows, really?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I know that Mossad is very good at what they do, and as a counterintelligence agent, federal agent of this country, sometimes there's stuff they would do that would piss me off because they're an ally, they're a friend, but I see Israel, they're over there in the in a part of the world where they're surrounded by a bunch of people that would like to annihilate them, and whatever side you fall on in whatever particular argument over there, you've got everybody over in that part of the world just wants to kill each other, it seems like. I'm personally kind of fed up with corners of the world having to get the whole world spun up, and sometimes it's our own fault, but this world was not intended to be perfect, and there's no way human beings are ever going to build a utopia. I think that's a childish fantasy of people who, in my opinion, this is their first time in human form. They've never reincarnated, and
right.
That's how I like to think about it. But I just file that in all the politics of all that in that category of it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Is that vague enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, I know humans were kind of like children and very primitive, but I know that the technology is that there is some technology out there that really could set us free. I don't know about utopia, but I mean, it would definitely help out a lot and bring.
When you the issue of technology, sure, absolutely, and we know that there's stories of really awesome technology that has been suppressed and continues to be suppressed because it's not what the people who want to the control freaks who want to tell the rest of us, how to live and how long we're supposed to live.
Right.
They just don't want us having that. And so, yeah, I would agree with you there. There's some stuff that would really set us all free in certain very interesting ways. But for, there's some people that just don't want us to be.
Yeah. I think the internet is a technology that's helped us out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, that might end. I think that has a huge impact on our future. It will, I mean, in a positive way. But I mean,
well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, more information, man. It's coming at us so much faster now, which it's going to be easier to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any news on this recent finance? It seems like the financial power is switching hands, and I hear that different countries are leaving the G20. And is there any validity to that? I mean, is there, or is it just wishful thinking? Oh, okay. His call dropped, so our guest got dropped off there. He'll be back in a minute or two.
Like I said, I think it's switching to the IMF. Europe's going to be in charge. I mean, think about it. They got 500 million people there. They got the biggest economy in the world.
Yeah, no one takes the euro very seriously, though.
Oh, they mean business, man.
Hello.
Hey, great. So, good. Okay, you're back. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I heard you guys disconnect. So. Speaking of technology.
Okay, so
right.
I asked the question. Is there any legitimacy to the claims that nations are leaving the G20 and we're breaking the financial powers are changing hand?
That's what you asked me?
Yeah. I mean,
that's. I'll be honest with you. That's not my field of expertise. My good friend Dr. Joseph Farrell, he could give you a much more detailed, intelligent answer on that one. But I do know through talking with him at length and some of the things that I've read that it's looking kind of scary how our traditional political and financial allies, if that's the word you want to use, some of them are signing up with this new Chinese thing, and it looks like they're saying bye U.S. and basing everything on the dollar, and that's a little bit disconcerting. But beyond that, I'm not, like I said, that's not my forte to be able to answer that intelligently.
Right. So I guess we'll take a quick break, and Chris will be back with us, so that's good. And I have some questions. I want us to go deeper into the occult here, and I know that's a lot of what our listeners would like to hear too. So, all right, Excellent. Thank you, Walter. We'll be right back then. Take a quick break.
All righty.
the best way to live your life? What is there's got to be ways you can be putting forward the most positive energy. I mean, we know objectively what's causing pollution. We know objectively what's causing birth defects, and we're taking in too much chemicals and not enough vitamins. We know objectively all this stuff. We know how to organize our world, and yet we don't do it. We know how to organize our health, and yet very few people do it. We know all these things. The right path to being a happy, healthy person is to do all the shit that we already know you're supposed to do. Take care of your body. Take care of your health. Take care of your mind, your stress. Meditate, be kind to people. We all know that. I mean, you ask anybody, they know how to get by and to be the most evolved version of you that you can be. I mean, it's not like a magical checklist. If you talk to people about it, you said, okay, here you got a person, you want to improve them. What are the things you're going to do to them? Okay, well, if I was a life coach, the first thing I would say is this guy's got to get on a diet that makes him healthy. I don't mean a diet just to lose weight. I mean just healthy foods in your body. Many, many vegetables. A lot of good quality protein, a lot of water. Stop the sodas, stop the bullshit. Start working out your body and get a better sense of how this machine feels when it's moving, it's flowing better, there's less tension in it, your mind feels relaxed and you enjoy every single moment of the day better. Step 1, everybody knows that step, right? What's step 2? Be cool to people. Be nice to as many people as you can. Smile at as many people as you can. Have them smile back at you. Tip well when you go to restaurants. Just do the most you can. Be as nice as you can, and just still manage to not have people walk all over you. Just get through this life as nice as you can. What else? Do what you want to do with your life, right? Don't go be doing something you don't enjoy. Don't do something don't get locked into, a car that you can't afford and doing something crazy because you need the money. Don't do that. Do what you want to do. Do what the fuck is it that you really want to do? Because if someone else is doing it, you can do it, I mean, everybody makes their own path through this world, but a lot of people don't follow the path that they really fucking feel pulled to. Just for whatever reason, they got negative programming. When they were kids, someone told them they couldn't do it, or told them to take the shortcut, or take the shore route.
I guess I can handle
it
here.
Hey! What, man? So, you like my drum playing right there? Yeah, that's me on the drums.
You on the drums, huh?
Yeah.
And you on the drums?
Yeah.
That was actually Sol Invicto.
Okay.
Lundra and Eric Bobo of Cypress Hill and Steph Carpenter of Deftones. Richie Lundris will be on the show next Thursday. That'll be an interesting show. Talk about their new album and debate a little bit about Russell Brand. Richie likes to stick up for Russell Brand.
Oh, really?
And apparently
Richie,
he just wants to debate about Russell Brand. So
okay,
that's not what the whole show will be about. But anyway, yeah. Hey, welcome back. I am back. I got my stuff taken care of over here. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but we're here. And hey, Walter.
Yes, I'm here.
And I'm here finally. I missed like the I missed like maybe 15 minutes from when the time you came on. about 15 minutes past that, so I was having issues over here.
I got them covered with everything we talked about, though.
Yeah, he kind of gave me a little overview, but anyway, so you got I was looking at the Empire of the Wheel books here, as I told you earlier. The more I keep reading about them, I really want to read these now. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. First of all, Empire of the Wheel. Where did how'd you come up with that name? What's behind that name?
Well, when you jump into the books, you'll learn the association that all this mystery has to do with the ancient goddess Hecate, and the symbol of Hecate is a wheel, and the area out here that all this mystery has taken place in is known as the Inland Empire. So I just put it together, Empire of the Wheel, associating the moniker, plus referring to the goddess who seems to be at the center of much of this stuff.
Does that make sense? You had so you got three of them. There's three of them. I know you got a bunch of books, but you got this series of three of them so far. Is this just three of them, or will there be more of them, or?
There will just be three Empire of the Wheel books. I thought it was fitting to stick with three because Hecate's number, her most associated number, she's got a couple of numbers associated with her, but the number 3 is the one most associated with her, so I thought it was fitting to keep it in a trilogy. And the purpose of the books was to introduce people to this mystery and its associations. They're kind of a, hey, look at this, what do you think about it, in the spirit of them. The second one and the third one get more into the revelatory type of thing that a lot of readers want. However, the few complaints that I've received about the book, and I'm fortunate, that I've received few complaints, but the few complaints tend to be from the folks that, they're just the...
Did he get... I think he got cut off.
Did he?
I don't hear him.
Yeah, his call dropped. He just said his call.
No, he's just getting into the good part. I was listening to that, man.
Dude, I'm going to totally fill up my bookshelf, dude.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this one.
I had to Google Hecate. I never heard of her. I definitely familiar with her pictures, though. You see a lot of her pictures in art. So that's what that's all about. That's kind of interesting.
Okay.
Sweet, you're back.
And he's
yes.
back. Yeah, I said your call dropped, so yeah.
It said what?
It said that your call dropped, so.
Well, I've got my hands off the phone and I'm speaking to a speaker, so it's nothing on my end. Line, so.
Huh.
Are you connected through?
So
Skype?
where was I when?
Yeah, you
were
lost
talking, me.
Yeah, you were talking about the few complaints that were about the book, or the opposition, I guess.
Yeah, because there's some people that there are readers out there that they just basically want to be told, here's some facts and here's what you should think about them. Or they just simply want to hear what you think, this or that. God forbid you hand them a book of questions. And, there's a few, I've had a few readers that come back at me and they get all kind of pissy because, one guy says, he asks as many questions as he answers. And my response is, yeah, no shit. I say that in the foreword, this is a book of questions. Some people, I guess, don't read the entire book. And, I don't know what to say to those folks. All I can do is present all that I do is, present what I know. Well, I say that, but I don't present everything. What I present is let me rephrase that. I don't present everything that I've experienced in the investigation. I present all the evidence I've found, and can present in somewhat close to, I guess, empirical or material way or reasonable, practical, informational way. And so some people just don't like having to answer questions for themselves, I think. And these books, they leave some essential things up to the reader. You have to decide for yourself what your conclusions are about what I've presented. I'm convinced and I'm confident that what Rick and I present in the first book and what I continue to present in the second and third book, are very compelling facts and speculations. And I'm clear when I'm speculating. So it was an interesting experience, going through those years that I was investigating that stuff and writing those books. And the whole mystery continues to this day. I'm just only going to write the 3 books on it as such.
Right. No, that's kind of how you have to do it. I mean, I would do it the same way as far as, personal experience goes. I wouldn't include everything. I mean,
I have a philosophy that, take for instance, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not beating up on anybody, but I'm going to use an example that everybody's familiar with. The whole concept, take like UFOs and ET disclosure, okay?
Right.
Really, mostly what I hear are a bunch of people saying, we have the right to know. And I'll tell you, my life and investigations, and particularly the last several years, have made me respond to that. You have a right to know with, oh, do you now? You're talking in that case about something that has been going on. For ages, okay? And if it ever revealed itself, forwardly and openly, the best accounts of that we have are, from thousands of years ago. It hasn't in anything you'd call recent history been open about its presence. So clearly it does not see that you have any right to know. And my experience with, the other things that I've investigated and encountered is that whatever the it is okay with you knowing. It wants you to know, but it demands that you follow a path and you dig it out for yourself.
Yeah.
I've encountered things that there's no way in heck I'm just going to hand to anybody or just throw in a book for, anybody to read or get on a podcast and say, here it is, everybody. You don't have to do your own work. I've done it for you. Here's all the truths.
Totally agree with that. Yep.
You can't. Some things are meant just for you alone, and that's the way it is.
And let's say this, too. Sometimes when people say, well, that's obviously a personal thing, and I think you guys have probably encountered what I'm talking about, but that is often a backhanded way of saying, you're crazy, you're full of crap, I don't believe you.
Right.
Well, the things that you find that are indeed, when we say meant for you, maybe not specifically for you, some things are specifically meant for the particular individual, but we're talking also about the things that, if you follow a certain path and a certain set of clues, they're meant for whoever does the work.
I've had
I lost my
fair share of paranormal.
That was nice, though.
Yeah. But I've talked about quite a few paranormal experiences that I've had, but I haven't talked about them all, and I'm never gonna.
Right, and you shouldn't, because here's the thing. Right. There are certain experiences, in fact, the closer you get to truths, the closer you get to figuring out the big mysteries, the more personal that experience needs to be, and the less one needs to talk about it. Because somebody just hearing about it or just reading about it, I'm sorry, regardless of what they think, they are not going to fully comprehend that information or that experience the same way as if they had experienced it themselves.
Yep.
So I'm not a big, everybody's got a right to know everything and, or need to know everything. I'm not big on that. That's
not everything.
That's just not the case.
A lot of stuff, yeah, but not everything.
Right.
I guess for me, it's like enough, like as you said, enough so that they can go on their own journey and find out for themselves.
Exactly, and that's what I give. Yes, I've held back things in the books that I write. Absolutely, you bet I have. Mm-hmm. And that, if anybody wants to know what I've held back, then you can either strike out on your own. Don't bother reading my book. Strike out on your own, or you can read the books and use them as kind of a guide for a starting point. And then take it, whatever angle grabs you from there. See what you find. I'm also an advocate, to folks that, to be honest, if you really want to get to the truth of something, let's take UFOs again, or Bigfoot or anything. Try an experiment where you're going to investigate secretly, privately, for like a period of 5 years. And I mean without telling anybody but your closest associates and swearing them to secrecy. And I mean not writing any books in the meantime, not going on any podcasts, nothing public. Just 5 years. And I picked that number because that's a good solid period of time there. Take 5 years and delve into it and just do your own private investigation. And again, don't go public, don't publish anything, not a word on a blog. And then I argue you'll be amazed at what you'll come across. You will be amazed at what and who come out of the woodwork and what you learn. However, once you decide to go public, be prepared for it to pull away from you.
Wow. So, it's hard to know where we can go from here because
I haven't read any of your books. Sorry to say that, but if you were to recommend one to me, like to where you get to the bottom of your philosophy or the truth, which one would you recommend?
Oh, well, see, I haven't written the one that gets to the bottom of it. However, I get the spirit of what you're asking. I would say, the Empire of the Wheel books, what's interesting about them is each one is distinctly its own book in a way. The first book just really introduces you to the mystery as I was introduced to it and gives some speculations and the initial, weird connections I was finding and synchronicities. And the second one, however, in pulling a thread that had to do with the central victim in the mystery, it led me to an unexpected place, which really then opened up the whole mystery. In like I said, in new ways, in a completely unexpected place. And the third one, that one kind of goes back to being more like the first one in that it says, hey, look at all these connections. Look at what's going on here. Look at this surprise. So if you were to read one of those, you're going to miss important aspects. So with the trilogy, I hate to say it, but you kind of got to look at all three of them. However, with the stuff I'm writing now, you could read Secret Missions, the one about Juan Cabrillo, and you could get a sense of what Empire of the Wheel 2 is about, and a sense of what the current book that I'm working on is about, as far as... is that... Again, is that vague enough for you? It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to answer that question, actually, because I do try to make each book, not just like the other ones. So, I don't think I've written the book that puts it in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, like you were saying, you definitely don't want to give too much, and it's important not to. So, I mean, it only makes sense. And I'm completely interested in reading the trilogy. I mean, like I said,
absolutely.
Views are excellent.
Yeah, right. And Walter, like we had talked about before, I noticed something when I was going through your webpage there. You had the stuff on 9/11. It's 9/11, a touch of magic. It's black magic or whatever. I know that because we've had Joseph P. Failsman on the show a few times, and we kind of talked a little bit about it. But like I told you, earlier today, we've never really got into it. I mean, we've had we've kind of we talked about like Aleister Crowley and stuff like that. We have one of our friends who is an exiled Freemason that comes on and talks about all that stuff. But we've never actually talked about for instance, this right here, like the 9/11 and all this. You know what I'm talking about. The little piece that you have here.
Before he continues, I remember on 9/11, my aunt, as soon as it happened, she said, "Well, this is definitely a ritualistic sacrifice."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
There were people who could see that aspect of it immediately. And, first of all, where I'm at on 9/11, I am have been convinced that the closest explanation to what happened to those towers, it can be found in, the book credited to Judy Wood, Where Did the Towers Go? I know some people, they'll hear her interviewed or they'll hear somebody else talking about the book and they'll be dismissive. Well, you know what? Take a look at the book. Take a close look at the book. Read through it. And, if you still dismiss it, okay, that's your thing. But I don't buy any of the other theories. I certainly don't buy the official story at all. It is, a very, very creepy thing, the perspective that, those of us who see it as something to do with, sacrifice or magic, it's a very creepy thing because that was on a huge, scale, and its effects are still running deep today. It effectively has damaged the psyche of the American people, and sometimes very deeply, more than any other thing in our history ever. And I fear that it's irreparable sometimes, but that will remain to be seen.
Yeah. I'd always like to believe there's hope, and I'm sure there is. But it's going to be a tough ride healing from that. Undo all the damage that they've done. It's going to take many, many years. I suspect.
We lost them again.
Yeah, I was going to say. I'm sorry. That's a shame.
Someone with credibility doesn't believe the official story either. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
I don't feel so crazy anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm down with that.
A lot of people with credibility.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Are you using Skype? Because Skype.
Well, I'm using a.
Yeah, none of us are. Yeah, I don't know why that's doing that. I have no idea because none of us are.
Well, some people I know would say we're talking about 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's that's happened to us on this show many times. We've had guests on. We've had a lot of weird things happen. We've had a lot.
Well, think about it. You pay attention to what the guest is saying. At the point you're disconnected, and start connecting dots. Whatever it was I was saying specifically, or we were getting to specifically when they disconnected us, if it's them,
I'm not
you got to ask yourself, what did he hit upon, or what did she hit upon that they didn't like? If we're going to have that kind of
very serious stuff about how this about how it's black
well,
magic.
that essay, the 9/11 Touch of Magic that I did a couple weeks back, that was a little bit inspired piece after a conversation with a couple of colleagues, and it kind of astonished me when I looked at it from that perspective, and that's why I felt compelled to write it, because I had never really. The only time I had, I'm trying to remember when I addressed 9/11 other than Empire of the Wheel 3 last year. I finally, discussed it publicly in that book. It's on a list of these kinds of magical attacks on the psyche of a mass population, specifically the American population in these cases. And, I just decided, to take it a step further and go ahead and post that essay with those thoughts in there. And it's compelling stuff, that's for sure.
So I guess can we counter this dark magic that was done on 9/11? Can we counter it with? Is it going to be rooted with white magic? How are we going to heal from it? I mean, how
I fear that's going to have to be done the old-fashioned way, and we might have to fight it in a material resistance, or
you mean guillotines.
I don't know. Again, that's something that enough people are going to have to decide for themselves. How much they are going to take and how much they're going to, not going to take, and what they're willing to do about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, that Whitest Kids special that I was just talking about, the final song in it. Trevor Moore, he brings up, I talked about a lot on this episode special about how there's a lot of problems with politics and religion, but I didn't talk much about solutions. So his final song was basically that we should use guillotines to kill all the people that are in charge in Washington. And he was pretty straightforward about it. So I thought that was very blunt. It was very straightforward, like more than usual. Because I see them making fun of themselves, and like you said, they use comedy to kind of marginalize the seriousness. But that episode in specific completely went over the top.
Well, I would first advocate that people find a way to. Okay. I'm one who, I don't like to use the word believe. I like to use the word either think or have been convinced. And I've been convinced that we're in an era that's kind of like during the Renaissance. There were certain people who knew that the Americas were over here. I mean, I know we're all told the story in school about, Columbus in 1492, but I think definitely in your guys' entire lifetimes and most of mine, there's been a lot of evidence, that's been presented to saying, no, that's a bunch of hogwash. There were civilizations coming over here and they knew about it, blah, 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 so forth. And ancient cartography and other things are pretty much, continue to be revealed, or pretty much, proving that. And, during the Renaissance, they already knew, certain monarchs, certain scientists and such, certain groups, they knew that the Americas were here. And, there's some who think that the whole Columbus thing was just was political theater to finally reveal, oh, guess what, there's a new world over there, because they in charge had decided that it was time to open it up to, commercial enterprise and things like that, to exploit it. And I mean exploit with a little e, not in the evil sense. And I think we're in a time like that now. I think that, I don't think we're told the truth about Mars. We're not told the truth about the moon, and what I mean is by what we found up there. We're not told the truth about, other habitable worlds out there off this planet. So, therefore, I go back to my first suggestion would be do something with yourself that would get you eligible to get yourself off this planet and get to a new world. Do that before the guillotines. But if it comes to the guillotines, each person has to decide. It all comes back to that personal accountability, how much you're willing to tolerate and how much you're not willing to tolerate. And as Sean Connery says in The Untouchables, to Elliot Ness, to Kevin Costner, he says, what are you willing to do about it? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who talk a big, tough game, but they're not necessarily willing to go out there and take, the action that's going to be effective. Because it's scary.
Yeah. I really want to get this song on the show and just play it. I don't know if it's going to work, though, if I do it through my headphones. I would love to. Seriously, dude, it was hardcore. Because they've been doing that a lot lately, trying to, joke about the Illuminati, but they do it in a way to mock people who believe in it, like he was saying earlier. But this dude is totally, you can tell, totally anti Illuminati, quote unquote. I hate using that word. I really do. Because the word itself just sounds goofy.
Well, it didn't start out that.
Yeah. But I think Chris wants to take one final break before we get more into the more heated talk.
Okay.
Because I love to the whole alien impact. I mean, I should say that it can cause really have nothing to do with and are these beings who they say they are, or are they interdimensional beings? Are they messing with us? Are they some sort of, as a few people claim, demonic entities, perhaps fallen angels, whatever? I mean, there's a lot of claims. And
the answer to all of that is yes.
Wow, yeah. Wow. So, 100% certain, yeah.
Because
wow.
I only heard half of what you said, because the first half of it was all cut out.
Yeah, the audio was garbled.
Okay, that wasn't just me. So okay, yeah.
Wow.
I missed the whole first half of what you said. Everything was cutting out, and I had to make sure it was you and not me, because usually it's me, so I'm used to it, but this time it wasn't me.
Am I cutting out right now still?
No, you're good now. You're good now.
See, whatever you were saying before, they didn't like.
Right. So these beings could very well be demonic or even fallen angels.
Absolutely, why not? And at the same time, there could also be those that are just literally other humans from other planets, or other beings from other planets. And then there's the whole breakaway civilization thing, where they're not even from other planets, but it works to their benefit to make you think that they're from other planets. And it's all. You say, is it this? Is it that? Is it this? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Because it could be all of that. There is evidence that, honestly supports the idea that it could be all.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So, to what degree are they interacting with the elite, quote unquote, and is it through the occult? What's going on?
In some cases, yes.
Yeah.
I would say the ones that have no regard for. Here's a good rule of thumb. You're a couple of young guys. Remember this and think on this, okay? Be very wary and skeptical of the idea of a collective, of the concept of the hive, of collective humanity. Be very wary of that, Because let me tell you something. That is a concept that this evil they that you're so opposed to, that is one of their concepts that they use to basically turn humanity into a herd, okay? Emphasize the individual, okay? You are an individual. You exist, okay? Your consciousness is not part of a cloud of gazillions of others, and you were just one big being. That's what they want you to think. So the first step is to reject collectivism in any of its forms, political, social. There's a difference between... Here's the example I like to give, okay? X-Men, I don't like. It's collectivism. Here we are, we can't do anything except as a team, and we even all wear the same damn uniform. But the Avengers, what are they? They're individual heroes who go off with their own lives, taking care of their own things that they got to do, helping people as individuals. And every once in a while, yeah, they get together and say, hey, we need to team up to whip this guy's ass, but when we're done whipping his ass, we're going to go back to our own lives as individuals, see? And that's the difference of what I'm talking about. Think Avengers, don't think X-Men. Think the importance of the individual, reject collectivism and the hive, okay? Because that is a concept that this evil Illuminati, so to speak, wants you to embrace. And they're doing a damn good job of it. Because there's so many collectivists out there today. Why? Because, it makes them feel good. You know, well, be a little bit more Spock and less Bones, okay? We got too much feeling going on right now. We need to have a little more thinking. So that's just, some advice for what it's worth.
No, that's a good analogy right there. I like that. I do like the X-Men, but I never looked at it that way.
Well, on the surface, it's all fun comic book stuff. I get that. Yeah. But, when you go deep, take a look at, just it's an example.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good example.
You don't sound convinced.
No, I am 100% convinced, actually. I completely get what you're saying about the hive mind and all that and how individuals are more important that way. Yeah.
Individualism.
Well, absolutely.
So are you into consciousness, Walter?
What's that?
Are you into consciousness? Do you like looking into those things?
We're all into consciousness because we're all conscious beings. But I will tell you this. I kind of get amused, mildly annoyed at all this talk about consciousness. Remember what I told you about people that are into, let's make the world a better place and make it utopia? How I think that they're obviously new souls, on Earth.
Same.
I think that I find that the conversation, let me rephrase this, I find that the conversation of, wow, consciousness, let's talk about consciousness, reminds me of, this is another new soul conversation. My attitude towards consciousness is, consciousness, you're a conscious being, get over it, and get on with your life.
Seriously, a complete undertaking.
Go conscious, but quit analyzing it so goddamn much. Like Jesus.
It is completely annoying, and they completely destroyed the word namaste.
Yeah.
They destroyed it.
Yeah, it's hey, that's just my opinion. There's another thing I'll bring up. When you're having a discussion, generally when we're having a discussion like this, what are we doing? We're all sharing our opinions, right? Now, to me, an intelligent person understands this. I love the people that when you make a statement in a discussion, they feel compelled to, to remind you to add on, in your opinion. Mm-hmm. Well, no kidding, you moron. Of course it's an opinion. I think everybody else in the conversation gets that. It kind of goes without saying, but there's those people that it's just got to be said for them. And again, I see them as a new soul.
Yeah.
This is their first time on Earth, and they're like, what the heck, what the hell do I do here, So it's all new to them. God bless them.
Yeah. That was all. I went through all that like 15, 20 years ago. and
yeah.
it got boring after a while, and I get it, I respect it, but like like you said, I agree with that. Like it gets overdone. It's just like, oh my God, they're amateurs. They're complete amateurs. It's like they just ran into yesterday.
Me and Jeff,
like the guy or gal who, they take a course in logic in college, and oh my God, you can't even talk about, your dog with them without every statement out of your mouth being, analyzed as to whether it's perfectly logical or not, according to a textbook. I just, wow, what a colossal bore those people are, and
oh, that's perfect.
Another one of my
I'm glad
peeves.
You said it, though. I'm really glad you're saying it. Thank you. Seriously. Wow.
Well, it's like I was saying, it's similar stuff that me and Jeff, we like to rag on the anarchists a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of anarchist friends, but we still rag on them because it's the whole you brought up the whole utopian thing. Well, that's the same thing.
Right.
You're right. The anarchists, what it is they desperately, truly, sincerely, I didn't mean to use the word desperately because that sounds derogatory, but they sincerely, they want their own version of utopia, and because they're not getting it, it's a reaction. Well, by God, if I'm not going to get, the world I want, then we can burn it all down, And now, I mean, that's just putting it simply. I mean, I have some very intelligent friends, much more higher educated than myself, who, are anarchists, and they would say, hey, asshole, it's more complex than that, and it. But, basically say that about the average anarchist.
They're living
similar thing with skeptics, and I mean skeptics with a capital S. A lot of these guys are that I encounter are guys like in your guys' age range that they either fell in love with logic at school or they fell in love with some smart ass comedian who's real popular, and so they want to be like him, and so becoming an acerbic naysayer about everything really turns them on. It got them laughs at college, and it maybe got them in some girl's pants, and so they just they keep doing it, and then they see themselves as the defenders of science in some cases, and really what it is, ironically, and I'm not the first to say it, but really it's just a religion. They are exactly like someone who's been born again, just a pain in the ass obsessive convert. And, they're exactly the same. So those guys entertain me a lot. And a lot of them don't like me in what I do. They don't like my books. They hate listening to me.
Oh, yeah. And they're the biggest skeptics. They are the biggest trolls. And if anything, they're very much anti-science.
Interestingly enough, as it turns out, it's, it's whatever. They are what they are. I try to just ignore them and... They do it because it's trendy, and it's another way to make them look cool, as though Exactly. It's trendy. There's a particular generation that just really bought off on the whole thing, and they'll be that way till they die. But whatever.
The anonymous movement. We talk about that a lot because they're anarchist, anonymous, and we talk
so
about
useless.
The trendiness of going out and protesting with masks, and now they're like painting their masks, and it's
the most useless organization on the planet, almost.
And I'm not trying to sit here and shit on them because I have a lot of friends that do that, and it's cool, whatever, do what you got to do. But I know me and Jeff do kind of. I know Jeff kind of rags on them more than I do, just because I have a lot of friends that do it, so I just don't want to be too much of a dickhead about it. But
right, yeah. Well, don't most of the guys who do it aren't most of them really doing it because, hey, that's where the girls are. So
right, it's a way to socialize. I completely told off one of the leaders the other day.
And we have right. And there's recently we've had people associating with the anonymous movement that they're kind of using the whole thing as a you know what I'm talking about, Jeff. They're just
one of the main players.
funds in the name of like anonymous and stuff like that, and they're going out and they're like traveling the whole country and going to these like protests like in Ferguson.
Well,
they're just trying to
one of the main
things
players.
in Ferguson. Alex
Right, one of the
Kuchar,
main players
Kuchar,
of the
whatever
Ferguson
his name is.
movement is a shill, supposedly.
Yeah,
there's plenty, it's said that he beats his girlfriend. So he supposedly was an informant, and he's going out there.
That's a whole different story than what I'm talking about.
Right. It's a specific situation, but if you think about it, look, they're going out there and doing the same stupid police brutality protests, and Obama has their backs and is standing behind them, basically saying you're doing a good job. And next thing you know, Obama
they're going out
attempting...
and provoking. They're just trying to provoke the cops. They're like, well, they're walking in the street protesting, and people are trying to drive through. People are in traffic. They're trying to get to their job or trying to get to their house or whatever, and they're blocking traffic. And then they're wondering why they're getting arrested.
They look like they look like assholes. No one's going to join them if they're doing that. My point is, Obama has their backs, and now Obama is trying to bring about new police regulations, and he's trying to federalize the police departments. So you got to step back and look back and say, wait a second, if Obama has my back and he thinks maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Maybe I should take a new approach. Maybe I should protest something else. Like I told the dude, maybe you guys should rally and go to the houses of politicians and protest about something new for once, like perhaps sex trafficking, like the sex trade, all that stuff. There's so many things you could protest about. It doesn't just have to be about the same thing. Mm-hmm. Diversify what you're doing.
They're just a bunch of wannabe anarchists with social security cards and driver's license, and they're all part of the system.
There's nothing brave about hitting the streets when it's completely having no effect. It's not doing any awareness.
This stuff we're talking about is a result of, for example, what was done to the public on 9/11.
Yeah.
All this embracing of anarchy and all this crazy behavior and what's gone on in this country for the last 14 years has been an example of a mind screw that was done very purposefully as such. And until people, the other side of it are the zombie patriots. Now, I'm a military officer. I'm a former federal agent, okay? I'm a guy who's, loved his country and all that stuff. I'm telling you, since 9/11, the kind of patriotism in some people that I've seen worries me, okay? It's the, the March of the Flags, I call it. And, these are the same people that, they blame Putin for everything. And, I spent 12 years of my professional life daily going after Russian agents, okay? Believe me, I don't like the Soviets any more than anybody else. And, I know Putin is a KGB lieutenant colonel before he was a president and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, even I find it very suspicious what's going on with this constant blaming of Putin for, like the Flight 370 and, everything now. Somebody stubs their toe, it's Putin's fault. Right. People need to be suspicious of that. That's the ginning up of something that, is a road we don't want to go down, that some people want to push us down.
Yeah. I personally like Putin.
Do you? Have you ever met him?
Of course I met him. Who hasn't met him? Come on, what kind of question is that, dude? No, I have not met him, Michael.
Then how do you know you like him?
I can like someone without meeting them.
Oh, can you? Okay.
In my view, he's still a KGB lieutenant colonel and all the things that go with that. But I've learned more about him in recent years, and I'm not going to say I like him, but I'm not going to say that he's at fault for all the things that people want to blame him for. I think that's ludicrous. Mm-hmm. Another example of some people want to get people spun up in certain directions, and
right.
we need to be careful of.
I'm the opposite extreme on the spectrum, but I say this because I believe he's anti-New World Order. He seems to be giving them a lot of hell.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He just seems that way. It just seems that way.
Sure. Yeah, but don't necessarily think that what he would want would be any better or something that you would want to live under. So you have to remember that. Sometimes it's not true that your enemy's enemy is your friend. Sometimes still your enemy's enemy is still your enemy.
Right.
It's a big old scary world out there, folks, and it's never going to be perfect. And
yeah, I suspect that's the case, that they're just competing for control is what it is.
And we're overdue for a world war anyway, folks. Look at human history. We're overdue for some, really major conflict. So, enjoy the bubble, because, as crappy as these past 14 years have been, which I consider singularly the worst years in this country's history, certainly of my lifetime, enjoy it, because I think it's going to get worse. We've gotten off to a very bad start this century, and to me, it doesn't appear to be getting much better.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I hope.
And I'm an optimist. So gosh.
I'm optimistic that hopefully we can prevent World War III and stop it from happening. Odds are obviously against us, but.
Yeah, we can't. We won't. It'll happen. Now, to the degree which survive it and what happens afterwards, that's the thing that, you can hope that somebody knows what they're doing, but that's kind of what we're being pushed towards now anyway. So
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Just get ready for the ride.
This war could be the worst ever on the planet's history.
Yeah. Or not.
Be done for.
Or not. I hope not. I mean,
if you go back to ancient times, they talk about in Hindu scriptures an incredible war that speaking of Joseph Farrell, if take a look at his cosmic war books. I mean, talk about a war. That was a planet destroying war.
We did a whole show on. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
supposedly destroyed in fire. Something the prophecies do not look at this very kindly. But the prophecies also claim that this will be the final world war.
We've heard that before too. I'm not very. I used to buy into more apocalyptic stuff, but I don't anymore. I'm of the mind now that we just keep going, and bad things happen, eras come and go, massive things happen, and then humanity rebuilds. But I do not see the clouds parting and the return of in the traditional sense. In fact, that kind of thinking has caused a lot of problems in humanity, in human history, and I don't know. I kind of reject that idea.
Well, I'm not talking about on a religious level though, because that just makes people docile.
Yeah.
There's that Albert Pike letter, for instance. I don't know. There's nothing cool about it. I don't give too much credence to prophecy.
What are you talking about?
Albert Pike's letter, the Zionist world versus the Arab world, or something like that.
Is that real though?
The Third World War.
I think it's going to be the Persian.
I don't know,
Iraq.
because he talks about Nazis in that prophecy, but when he talked about that, when Nazis, did they even exist? That were
I don't think they did then. I mean, he was writing. It wasn't in a book. He was writing it to that dude in Italy that was the leader of the. I guess if you could say either the mafia of the time or the Illuminati. I don't know what it's called. I forget his name.
He mentioned the Nazis or the fascists or whatever, but at the time, that didn't even exist, did it? So that's what made me question the whole thing.
Well, the fact that it didn't exist wouldn't mean much for me because they those bad guys.
But the fact is that true that he actually said that is what I'm saying.
Right. I couldn't tell you. I'm gonna most likely not.
That's my question.
Most likely not, I would say.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not just gonna read something and be like, all right, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, most likely not. I mean,
look into it a little bit, make sure it's actually true, because you see all these like Hitler. You even see like Hitler quotes, and you're like, you know, a lot of those.
There's a lot of bad quotes out there, right? I get that.
Really
according to Snopes, no, that letter's not real, but still. I mean, anything's possible is all I know. I mean, but yeah. It could be fake. It most likely is fake.
So, Walter, you did some FBI work in Saudi Arabia?
No. I was an OSI agent for the Air Force when I was in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And then when I was a counterterrorism consultant, I did a little work over there.
So what do you think's going on in the Middle East? I think it's Iran and Saudi Arabia's been at war there for the last few decades. What do you think?
I think it's what's gone on there for centuries, and the big and at the heart of it is Islam. It's ridiculous to think that these politicians that come in, they think they're going to accomplish Middle Eastern peace. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They don't want peace over there. They laugh at all this crap in the West that some American or British or European guy's going to come over there and just come up with an agreement on paper that's going to settle all this crap. I mean, it's foolish. It's just, unfortunately, just a crappy corner of the world that, the people that try to make it better are up against ignorance and, backwards thinking. I mean, you got these guys that literally want to live in the 8th century. Jesus. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So I've seen enough of the Middle East. I don't care to ever go back there again. And let me tell you, there's places I really, really like. Amman, Jordan. I really enjoyed going there every time I went there. I've been to Israel twice, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. I really enjoyed, going there. But it's just, I've had my fill.
It's a nice place to visit, but not live, huh?
Like, what's that?
It's a nice place to visit, but not a place to live.
They could make it a nice place to live, but too many of them want to latch on to this, this crap that this angry guy came up with centuries ago, and and there's enough of them that want to force everybody. I can't stand somebody that wants to make everybody go to their church.
Yeah,
that's the thing that gets my hackles up, and I'm going to jam that up their backside every chance I get. Because my personal view is the whole world doesn't need to go to the same church. Okay, that kind of thinking. We need again. That goes back to this collective thing I'm talking about, right?
It is.
So let's get everybody under the same philosophy. Hell no! Right. I don't ever want to live in a world where everybody's under the same philosophy.
Right.
No way. And you should be very wary of that kind of thinking. Well, religion is, unfortunately, and very specifically, what some folks, my friend Joseph Farrell calls the Yahwist monotheisms. Take a close look at them. They have some issues that have caused a lot of trouble. However, in some cases, they've done some good things. So. Again, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Again, this comes down to individual accountability for your own thoughts and conclusions and opinions about things. The bottom line is life in this world are complex. They're, it's not easy. It can be simple in its complexity. You can still, have some simplicity, but it's not easy. And you're not here for it to be easy. Here's the thing. We are here for the struggle. We're not here to have an easy go of it. This isn't some, mean parent or mean teacher's fault that the world isn't just a wonderful, shiny, easy place. Yeah. You're here for the struggle. Okay? Yeah. It's not heaven, whatever heaven is. You're here for the struggle. You're here to go through all this crap to experience it and help others and get something, learn something about yourself. So the world and all its crap is exactly what it's supposed to be. Because the only thing you can perfect or try to perfect or strive to perfect is yourself. Yeah. If you work on yourself, and everybody works on themselves to improve themselves, that's why you're here. That's what you can improve, not the world around you. Yeah. The world around you is the grinder, the crucible that, you're given an opportunity to make yourself better. And you can either sit back and whine and bitch about it, or, you can go forward and
that seems to be the way it is. I mean,
yeah, because what is traction? Traction involves resistance, right? Well, when you're getting resistance in life, in many ways, you got to say I must be on the right track, because with resistance I get traction, and with traction I move forward.
Our direct surroundings do seem to be influenced by how we change ourselves, though.
Exactly. Work on yourself. Perfect yourself. You'll be a better person. If everybody else really, if other people, when they work on themselves and make themselves better, it's kind of weird. You tend to want to get along with each other more, and when you want to get along with other people, your surroundings and your immediate environment are better, right? Yep. So, golly, imagine that. But these boobs, and I do say boobs, who want to, elect me and I'll turn the country into a great world, or follow me and I'll make the world perfect. Go to hell, I don't trust that guy. I don't trust him either because they're a conniving liar with a hidden agenda, or they're some goddamn idiot, who doesn't know what they're talking about. So.
All right. Real fast, I think we have a caller. Most likely just listening in. Hello, caller. Are you there? All right. He's got a lot of sound.
He must be outside somewhere where someone's honking. Oh, there's the police siren.
He's playing a pinball machine, or perhaps he butt dialed us.
Enough of that. A pinball machine. It did kind of sound like a pinball machine.
Yeah, dude, he was tearing it up.
I hate that, man. When you go to connect someone and you hear all that, it's.
By the way, I just messaged all three of you that guillotine song that I was referring to. Yeah. 4 minutes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely enjoyable.
Trevor Moore.
Yeah, you gotta upload that to the show, dude.
How long is it?
4 minutes. You gotta upload it. That's definitely worthy of being on the show.
So was there more than one caller?
Yeah, that was just it, I think. I don't know what that was about. We have a very, unfortunately, we have a poor success rate with people calling in.
Hold on.
I'm sorry. That's
someone playing Call of Duty or some shit and trying to.
It's so unprofessional, but I can't help it. It's.
No, I know, man. Believe me, I feel like an idiot when I have to connect to stuff like that. But.
Oh man,
What were they doing?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's very strange.
Oh well.
Sometimes people can't get the show on their phone, the live show on their phone, so they'll call in.
Okay, just to listen.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's what that is. I mean, it could be that. It could just be some fool. I don't know. We've dealt with a lot of shit lately.
Definitely fools. I really want to hear a troll call in, man. I would love to hear a troll.
Oh, God.
Serious
prank call out of nowhere.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
We never get trolls.
It really has been a while since someone has called it.
They just hang out online.
People, the only objective people that we've had on the show are like pro-police people. Like,
yeah, I think you're right.
The really, really pro-police people, like really pro-police people.
Really?
Like
you mean callers or guests?
Like, callers.
Callers,
no, I don't think we've had. I don't think we've had any pro-police.
Well, I've, as you know, I've worked in law enforcement, and I like to say, hey, there's a reason that every law enforcement agency and department has an internal affairs department, because unfortunately, the profession attracts assholes in some cases, and the trend that has disturbed me is this militarization of appearance and behavior.
Yeah.
This tacking up to where, your local PD looks like a military spec ops unit. Good God. That's just a little bit over the top for them to respond to every situation like that. Now, I have no trouble with officers protecting themselves. I get that. But it's...
Serve and protect. That's what happened to that.
But the other aspect is, you get some guy who, he, and I'm a veteran also, okay, so I don't want to hear any crap from, veterans who don't understand what I'm saying. There might be a guy who's just a top-notch, excellent soldier in the war zone, in the war theater, but that doesn't mean he's qualified to be a police officer at home. And I'm afraid maybe, we get, in some cases, Sergeant Bro Dude, who's exemplary out there in the military, God bless him, but, his style of policing is going to be like he's on an intense patrol in Mosul, or something. And it's not, it bothers me. And it bothers me from, being an experienced law enforcement guy, so... And being a military officer, so I think I know wherefore I speak regarding this particular topic. So, but hey, that's just me.
Well,
and I'm an idiot. Just skeptic fans.
Yeah, and like it's like and like me, I'm not I know there's a lot of people who are like fuck the police and like all right, like I understand to a certain extent, but I'm one of the people that are like like we talked about earlier. I'm not down with the whole anarchy way and stuff. I think we should have law enforcement.
It's a stupid catchphrase.
We should have government, and we should we do need laws. A lot of people would look at me and be like, "Really, you're saying that just because of just because me being me?" But yeah, there's no way that this society or civilization or whatever you want to call it is going to succeed without any laws. You can't just... It's not going to happen. Right? It's not. It's not possible. I mean, you know what? That's why I always say, it's like, anarchists. It's just a utopian dream. And but yeah, I mean, I'm not anti-cop, but with the stuff that's been going on, and I know it's been going on for many, many years, it's only be coming out more now because of social media, camera phones, and stuff like that. I know it's been going on a long time, and and I know, I know people that are good cops, and I have no problem with having a police force and stuff like that.
Well, I would say that people who are good cops, because I'd say 95% of cops are good cops. It's the 5 maybe to 10% that are not. And that's unfortunate for the good guys.
A little bit more credit than I would give right now on that. I wouldn't say 95%. I think it's getting pretty bad at this point.
Well, I'll compromise. I'll go to 90%. 95% of our law enforcement officers out there are solid, and they're doing it right. It's 10% that really screw it up for the public's perception of it, and those guys need to be hammered or not in the job in the.
and you're right, because,
point, but I don't think it's the
10%. In 10% can really or 10, it doesn't matter, 10, 15% or whatever can totally wipe out the rest of the percentage just because, because.
Well, I don't think they totally wipe out. You'd have complete chaos if that were the case. What it does is it affects the public perception of the,
that's what I was trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it will
remember
that 10 and 50.
This whole idea that perception is reality. That's a bullshit mental concept. Yeah, perception may be reality in somebody's point of view or in their opinion, but it doesn't necessarily make it material reality. And unfortunately, we do have, a bunch of, stuff that gets spread around that is just based on a lie, based on crap, like hands up, don't shoot, which, a big thing that really the facts are it didn't happen. And that's just one example. And it's and again, it's unfortunate because that 10% of the that are the rotten eggs, they give a certain percentage of the public a perception, and it just it's that percentage of the public are the loudest, really. So that's why you hear about it a lot. So, but this is all part of, honestly, this is all part of that social crap in America that I'm so fed up with that just really disgusts me. This is why breakaway civilization, where are you? Please take me away. Because to me, America and the world is really, Europe during the Renaissance, when the smart guys who figured out who learned what was across the ocean, they said, screw this place, and they crossed and they, struck out in a new way. So that's my position.
See, I don't think it's the 10% of the bad cops. They're a problem, but there's good cops enforcing unjust laws. I think that's a big problem too. Like the cannabis prohibition.
I think you're all very kind. I think.
Then what people need to do is, just stay active in the political system. Cast your vote.
You guys are way too kind.
And don't get too cynical and try to get in there and make the laws more just if there's, a bad law out there.
I seriously though, I believe it's more like 10% are psychopaths and 50% are just assholes.
Okay, well, the job does attract some assholes. We know that. Everybody's encountered, the muscle-bound prick who, he's the authority guy, because he's the local cop. Everybody's encountered that. But I don't know, in my experience, a lot more of them are doing it right and are the right type of men and women, to be doing the job. Well, they do, except the ones who are corrupt.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. That's a no-brainer. Yeah. Well, the ones who don't are the ones who are the corrupt ones.
Right. And
the ones who again, what does this go back to? Guess what? If you're gonna have 100 policemen on the face of this earth, guess what? 100 of them are not going to be up and perfect, which goes back to the whole idea of you're never going to have a utopia. There's always going to be problem people. There's always going to be, a shitty world. Again, we just have to deal with these cases as we come across them and as they do bad things, and we have to react to it.
Exactly.
It's really about your definition of a utopia, though. I mean, a world where everyone is like a saint is unrealistic, but like I said earlier, if technology were released, we could be living in a futuristic world where it's just a lot more fun, and I could see a world where everyone is healthy, and
healthy won't happen.
Well, if the psychopathic elite who control the world, if we get them out of here, if we get the power into the hands of the younger generations and better people who aren't psychopaths, then this...
Wait a minute now. Hold on there, sport. Hold on. I wouldn't use the age as a criteria for who you got to get stuff necessarily into. Because let me tell you, there's just as many dumbass morons who are the younger people as there are older dumbass morons. The fact is, there's just dumbass morons up and down the age spectrum. You know, so look at it as
age does not matter. No,
people, and so, some of them are going to be older. So I'm in the middle there. You know, is what I'm talking about. You know, so in fact, part of the problem that we've had is for most of my life, there's been a youth obsession in our society. Where, hey, let's shit-can the wisdom of what people have learned for several years and hand it over to the kid because all kids are brilliant, don't you know?
No, you got a point there. Yeah.
So it's
I guess what I meant was just the power should be in the hands of the people who aren't psychopaths. And then at that point, the technology that could heal everybody on the world and keep us free of disease, the technology exists. It's just being suppressed for population control.
That's still utopia. Think about it. If we could get the power in the hands of the right people, and then we could get all the right technology, and then everybody be healthy and on and so forth. This is still utopian. The best you can hope for is to get enough power into the right hands to be able to counteract the assholes who happen to have some of the power, and get enough of the technology out there and just keep trying to get it out there so that enough people at least have access to it. I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to totally rain on that, but you have to temper it with, rather than say, well, it's got to be this, it's got to, if do this, and this, and get all these things, work towards them in a piecemeal fashion,
But as you were saying earlier, I mean, we're kind of at that stage now where there's already a balance, because we were talking about the bad versus good and how the good guys are also in hiding in secret and they're countering the bad. So, I mean, we're kind of out of balance now.
So, I think they must be to some degree, or I'm convinced this place would be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But it might be that the good guys have found another place, and maybe at some point, if they get outnumbered, at least they have a refuge to go to. I don't know. That's an idea, and it's a theory that some of the stuff I've looked at suggests, but I don't know. It is what it is. And you just kind of have...
Look at it like being in a prison, you need to belong to survive. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance alone.
But then again, you could be the single grain of sand in the machinery that brings it all down. Or as an individual, you can move among all of them and blend in and be noticed less.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, what I have in the past done surveillance in an undercover, covert fashion where I've had to blend into my surroundings. Now, this is just an example, an analogy or whatever you want to call it. If you've got a group, a whole team, that group is bigger, and that group gives much more opportunity for a screw-up to where if one member is detected, the whole team could be blown. But then if you have a situation where you have to disperse and then you're an individual, true, you don't have the other team to reach out to, but the individual can disappear a lot easier and not be seen or not be detected. So, you don't necessarily have to belong, but maybe you have to appear to belong.
Right. So, I kind of want to change the subject here. Do you have any experience with this whole Nazi continuation? How the Nazis was claimed that they didn't lose World War II, they went underground, and they're still running things today.
I was convinced years ago that of the basic Nazi survival idea, after the war. I've been convinced of that for years. And, of course, we know this to be true because, there's been the cases of the guys found and caught in South America, right? There's all that, evidence in South America. I think there was one arrested, about 10 or 15 years ago or whatever down there.
Right.
And, so we know that there's that. And when you take it further and you look at the material of Dr. Farrell, Joseph Farrell, I find it even more convincing. And in my own research, particularly Empire of the Wheel 2, in which I discussed the German associations with a group called NIMSA, which is the 19th century precursor to, the Nazi structure. Or organizations say that maybe behind, the rise of them, it becomes even more convincing to me. Mm-hmm. But the degree to which, I've been involved or is, just in my research on my books and, what I've learned from the work and conversations with Dr. Farrell.
Is there a connection to the creation of Israel to that? I mean, is what they say about the Rothschilds having a hand relevant?
There is some convincing data out there, intriguing data, compelling. Instead of using the word convincing, I'll say compelling data. And okay. But I'm going to leave that up to the individual to decide for themselves. I right now, I don't know, honestly, what to think enough to tell anyone else, well, here's what I think about it, or here's what, you should think about it. I guess I'm still processing that conclusion.
Could it be possible that Hitler was in contact with alien beings?
Sure, it could be possible.
Okay. I mean, I guess this kind of goes off what I was bringing up earlier about how the elite are in communication. I would love to know to what degree they are in communication and how much influence these beings have. Are they trying to influence our political decisions? What is their agenda? I mean, whose side are they on, really? Their own side or our side?
I've heard both. I've heard that, there's evidence out there that they're against us, and then there's a group out there that's for us.
Same.
I haven't met them personally that I was aware of, that they've told me themselves. All I can go on is...
Personally, you can't really believe what they say.
Well, but isn't that way with... It's that way with anybody, right?
Yeah. It could be BS. I mean...
There you go. And again, we're back to, that. But...
It's a dead-end topic, it really is.
I would say that the answer to all those possibilities is yes. Again, yes. There's those who want to destroy us. There's those who want to enslave us. There's those who want to help us. There's those who don't care.
So Chris mentioned something earlier through private chat that something's going on with Disneyland.
Yeah, the Disneyland thing. Yeah, we should.
Oh yeah, the Disney book. My book Latitude 33 goes into. Think Disneyland was engineered to be, and that was essentially a psychotronic device to really to enhance simply the experience of being in the park. I'm convinced that that's all that the man who engineered it for Walt Disney, I'm convinced that that's all he was trying to do.
Okay.
Was just enhance the personal experience of the park goer, but in quite an extraordinary way. In that, it had some working parts that use world grid type energy to tap into, the human psyche and, just make it more magical.
That makes more sense. Because they say Walt Disney, 33rd degree Mason and all that stuff. And then
no, he was not.
Oh, he wasn't? Okay.
Walt Disney was never in a Masonic lodge.
I thought I heard
I'm a Mason.
We're talking about.
And here we go. Yeah, I'm a third-degree Mason, Blue Lodge Mason, and of course there's going to be the guy saying, well, you're only third degree, so you wouldn't know. It's like, yeah, right, okay. Well, I did research, and Walt Disney was never a lodge member that I found, and, I went to 2 Masonic authorities. They're listed in the book. The closest Walt Disney came to being a Mason, so to speak, is that when he was a kid, in high school, I think he was in DeMolay, which is just a youth organization. He might as well have been in the Key Club, which is the Kiwanis Club's youth organization.
Right.
But he wasn't a Mason. He wasn't consciously doing Masonic things in his films or with Disneyland. The guy you need to look at as regards Disneyland is this guy in my book, a guy named Cornelius Vanderbilt Wood, or C.V. Wood. And that's the guy. And the book goes into, Latitude 33, Key to the Kingdom, goes into C.V. Wood and what I'm talking about regarding him. He's the guy who did these interesting psychotronic things. And again, it wasn't a big evil thing. It was just he was interested in those, thought he would apply it.
Right. Well, which makes sense because that's how Masons are taught to do it, to benefit, your personal business ventures, which makes sense. And to try to make the world a better place one brick at a time, one block at a time, and that's working with individuals. Oh, hey, we're back to that, individuals. They succeed. If you go to Disney World, it's very effective. I mean, you can feel it. It's awesome. I mean, you would literally experience it all. It really does. They did some magic there. I'll just put it that way.
Right. Well, what about the weird symbolism in like the movies and cartoons and stuff? There's actually some pretty compelling.
A lot of weird symbolism.
Well, if you'll notice, when people bring that stuff up, like the subliminal stuff, if you'll notice when they bring that stuff up, it's all of those particular Disney films were the ones that were produced long after Walt died. And they're really attributed to the era that Michael Eisner was in charge.
Okay.
That's what I find interesting. Everybody wants to, go after Walt, but really.
Okay.
What's that?
No, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm saying people want to blame Walt Disney, and I'm seeing what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Keep going. Yeah.
The people I know and have talked to that encountered Walt Disney personally, they'll tell you, Walt liked to smoke, he liked to drink, and he liked to cuss like a sailor. But you know what? And yeah, he butted heads with, the union folks. Okay, well, he was a man of his times. There was a lot of people back then. There's a lot of people now that, can't stand unions. So it's like they weren't able to find anything else that really stuck. So, let's call him an evil Freemason trying to rule the world. It's, when you really look close at stuff other than BS on the internet, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't stand up. But then again, there's people out there that are convinced I'm an idiot and I'm wrong, and that's okay.
Well, people probably think that about everybody.
Yeah,
But
I will say, Latitude 33, Key to the Kingdom at Amazon.com, it's a Kindle book, and it's only 99 cents.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Give it a read for $1. Oh, and you can get Kindle for free, by the way. A lot of people think, well, I can't read a Kindle book because I don't have a Kindle device. Well, Amazon, they give away the Kindle app for free. You can download the app on your computer, your smartphone, whatever device you prefer. You do not have to have the Kindle device. And I don't have a Kindle device, and I read Kindle books all the time. I've got it on my computers. So, just 99 cents, see what I have to say about Disneyland. And a lot of it's my own personal strange experience there. And, check it out. And, for $1, it's worth.
The Alfred experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Chris, your audio is real low, buddy. I can hardly hear you.
How's this? Is this better?
Not really, but it's cool. I can understand what you're saying.
So you're asking about Alfred?
Yeah, Alfred. Yeah, Alfred. The Alfred.
Yeah, Alfred, the strange encounter with the man named Alfred, who was the spitting image of Alfred Watkins, who is credited as the first to write about so-called ley lines. And I go into that in the book, how this man that I encountered in Disneyland in 1981, and all the interesting things to go along with it. Then 11 or 12 years later, I first learn about Alfred Watkins, and I see a picture of him for the first time, and I'm stunned because I'm looking at the very face of the man that I talked to in Disneyland 11 or 12 years before. And the thing is, he had been dead. By 1981, he had been dead, I think, almost 40 years or so. So, I offer some possibilities as to what... Oh, and the old man at Disneyland said his name was Alfred. That's the kicker. As he asked his name, he said Alfred. And so in the book, I offer the possibilities to explain it. My personal favorite is, I like to think that it was Alfred Watkins. But again, that was the thing that really kicked off my realizing there was something strange about Disneyland. And it took me years to process that. And then when I dug into it finally, it was very enlightening. So.
Wow. So I guess I'm curious if you have an outlook as far as this. There's a council on 300, because a lot of people know about the Bilderberg Group and all Trilateral Commission and all that, but a lot of people don't know about the Council on 300. The 13 families or whatever, Council on 13, however you call it. Is there some sort of like occult ritual?
Oh, listen to that! Your audio is cutting out just as you start talking about.
That was Jeff. Yeah, that was definitely Jeff. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So it sounded like he was asking about the 13 members of this council.
Something about 13, and that was all I heard.
And they want to cut your audio out. So here's the thing. I believe these are also the folks that are really involved in mapping DNA and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're really deeply interested in bloodline issues. So, rather than go into a lengthy thing, which I don't think we have time for, and about what I think about this, I'll just say, pay close attention to that. If they're interested in mapping DNA and they're deeply interested in these bloodlines, just ask yourself, what are they looking for? Who are they looking for? And, just kind of go from there on your own. And, it's interesting. We're getting into a realm where I've had some pretty deep conversations with people that are more knowledgeable about this than I, but these are private conversations, so I don't really feel at liberty to go further into this, because the talk about is actually the stuff that colors my opinion and therefore the answer. So I'll just leave you with that. Just they're really curious about bloodlines and DNA, and just kind of look at that and ask yourself why.